Good evening, good evening, good evening. If you can hear me, please just type in a yes into the chat so I know that we are all here together. Just type in a yes. If you can hear me. All right, fantastic. You're all welcome to the session today. Thank you, Amira, iPhone, Abdul Razak, Vivian. Thank you for joining us this beautiful evening, Sunday evening. All right. Now, before we start and dive into the main meat of our session today, I want to get a sense of those that have joined our previous masterclasses. So if you've joined a masterclass before, if you've joined a masterclass yesterday, the day before, last week, last month, 2 months ago, just type in 1 into the chat. So if you've joined the Tenalytics masterclass in the past, just type in 1 into the chat. Welcome back, Victor. Welcome back, Vivian, Amira. Fantastic. We have quite a number of people that are joining for the second time. We're expecting a lot more people to join us today, and we'll have a fantastic time talking about business analysis. All right, we'll walk through a case study together. And the objective of today's session is to give a lot of people clarity into what a business analyst actually would do in the office. So if you get hired as a business analyst, what would you be doing? What will be your daily activities, your responsibilities, and what does a business analyst actually do? We'll talk about that using a case study, and then I would also show you how to apply to jobs, all right? Because quite a number of you would have this wrong impression that except you have some kind of, superhuman skills, you really cannot get a job as a business analyst. But we'll demystify all of that today. And I want us to have an interactive, engaging session. So feel free to ask questions. As soon as the questions occur to you, just type it into the chat and also make note of the questions you'd like to communicate. And we'll have a Q&A before we wrap up our class today, where you'd have the opportunity to come up to speak. So let's get started. All right. Ubon, can you make me the co-host, please, so I can share my screen? Okay, so I'll see if I can go ahead and share. So Ubon, if you are there and you can hear me, can you make me the co-host? All right, thanks for that. So let's go ahead and share and let's get into it. For those of you that are not new, you've pretty much seen how we run our master classes. So between now and the next 2 hours, I'll walk you through the nitty-gritty of business analysis and what it takes to become a business analyst, get a job, get a sponsored job across different regions, from Canada to the UK to the US, and so on and so forth. But let's look at what our session today would center around. All right. So we'll be looking at a practical use case of a business analyst in any typical organization anywhere across the globe. And just a bit of introduction about myself. My name is Adeza Suleiman. I'm the founder of Tenalytics. I'm a data analytics expert with close to a decade years of experience across multiple sectors, from financial services to educational technology to sports to automobile and to energy. Worked in the energy sector as well, specifically the power sector. I've also worked as a data science consultant with so many organizations in the UK and in the US, working on projects and contracts. And personally, I've been able to train about 8,500 people, helping them get into tech. And I'll be showing you and sharing my wealth of experience with you, and also show you how to get started as a business analyst. And a lot of you confuse business analysis with data analytics, or a business analyst for a data analyst. So these are some of the things we're going to try to explain today. All right. So we'll have an amazing time, an amazing session. So feel free, enjoy the session, and let's keep it engaging as we can. Before we dive into the session, I would like to know where you're joining us from. So just type that into the chat. I'll start mine. I'm currently joining from Bradford in the UK. Okay, so just type in where you're joining from. Sarah is joining from the US, Karim from Lagos, iPhone from Ghana, Amira from Borno, Ghana. Nowadays, we get in Blantyre, Malawi. I have a lot of Malawian friends rather. They stay in Lilongwe, if I'm correct. Lilongwe. I've always wanted to visit Malawi. Welcome, Frederick. iPhone from Ethiopia, Calabar, Ethiopia, Kwara State, Manchester, UK, Abiodun. Good to have you all join us today. Fantastic. Grace from Kenya. I love the diversity we have currently in the class. So let's also tap from that diversity. I'd like to also get your experience, get your questions, and let's try to have an amazing time. We'll look at the case study like I mentioned. And it's a very interesting case study. So we'll be working today as business analysts for a particular company known as Retail Max. Retail Max. So Retail Max is a popular store, one of the largest stores at the center of the city. And they have a problem. And always know this, organizations would not hire you because you are handsome or because you are beautiful or because you are intelligent. No. Organizations will hire you because they have problems and they want you to solve those problems. Do you have the skills to help them solve those problems? That's the key question every organization wants to answer. And that's why every organization would have their key requirements in their job description when they are hiring for different roles. And today we are looking at the business analysis role or the business analyst role. All right. So Retail Max is a popular store in the heart of the city. They enjoy a lot of foot traffic coming into the store, buying a lot of products because they have a wide variety of products. Now, one of the significant challenges they face is long queues at the checkout center, long queues. And you can see that at the checkout counters. You can see the picture you have here. You can see a whole lot of people waiting to make payments for the items or the products they have bought. And it's a major challenge. Some of the customers feel disgruntled. They feel frustrated because of the slow checkout process and leading to dissatisfaction and even leading to cart abandonment. So rather than wait so long on the queue, customers would abandon whatever they bought and they leave the store. So it's a major, major challenge. And the business analyst is meant to come in to solve this problem. Okay, so we're going to walk step by step until we get to the solution of this particular problem. And as we walk step by step, we'll identify the different aspects and how the business analyst comes in to solve those areas and the different tools the business analyst would also deploy to ensure that particular aspect is solved. So this is the problem we want to solve. Long queues at the checkout counters. Customers are not happy. Customers don't come back because they always feel frustrated waiting for so long on the queue. And then some of them even abandon their carts at the end of the day. So who is a business analyst? That's one of the fantastic questions we'll be answering today. Who is a business analyst? All right. First of all, a business analyst is somebody who acts as the middleman between the business and the technology team. So the business analyst is the middleman between the business and the technology team. Now, the business is the stakeholders within the business, understanding the business requirements, what the business wants to achieve, where they are going to, the objectives they have, the problems they have. The business analyst understands from the perspective of the stakeholders within the business. Now, for a lot of the problems companies would have to solve, it would involve automation. It would involve deploying technology, systems, and solutions, and so on and so forth. So the business analyst will then gather the requirements, what the business wants to achieve. Oh, for this particular checkout process, we need to deploy a specific technology to make the process faster. Let's assume that's the solution. Who deploy the technology? How will the technology be deployed? You need to also work with the IT team, the technology team within the business as well. So that business analyst understands what the business wants to do, gather requirements from the different stakeholders, ensures that every requirement needed to solve the problem based on the perspective of different stakeholders are properly documented. And the business analyst then takes that business requirement document and interfaces with the technology team who will deploy and build the solution. All right, so that's number one. The BA is a professional who serves as a bridge between the stakeholders and the technology team. Now, because every business would want to solve problems, deploy technology, optimize their processes, optimization comes with changes. Optimization, becoming more efficient and more effective, comes with a whole lot of changes. So the business analyst must drive that change. And in any organization, the business analyst is a change agent or a change enabler. So that's the second, key responsibility or key attribute of the business analyst. The business analyst is also a change enabler, facilitating and driving changes. Now, imagine for some of you who are Nigerian, so the Nigerians in the house, if you listen to the news, you'd see where the Minister of Works came into the office, and then for some people who came late, he told the gatemen to lock the gates and don't allow anybody else to come into the complex, the ministry complex. For those of you that saw that news, at least I saw the news last week. Now, imagine you saw the uproar. The staff were angry, they were upset, and they were protesting, and so on and so forth. Imagine that new minister comes into the business and they implement a clock-in, clock-out system, something that nobody is used to. So this time around, we want to curb late coming. We don't want people to come into the office late. So we want to track attendance. And by tracking attendance, we'll deploy a clock-in, clock-out system. All right? Where when you get into the office complex, you thumbprint to clock in. And when you are leaving, you thumbprint again to clock out. People will have to change to adapt those new initiatives. So as the business analyst, you are responsible for driving that change. You are a change enabler. What do you need to do to ensure that you implement those changes and make processes a lot more efficient and effective? So you have to drive a lot of things. You have to educate people on the importance and why it's necessary to have that clock-in, clock-out system. You'd also put in some incentives. We're going to give awards for those who, those that come early and those that don't leave early. You create some sort of incentive to ensure that you drive that change. What is in it for me, the staff? The business analyst is responsible for driving the change in the organization. And of course, to drive the changes, to implement different initiatives to make the business more efficient, you must understand the business clearly. So the business analyst is involved in so many things, in defining the strategy, in coming up with the budgets. You understand where the business is going. What is the short-term, the mid-term, the long-term plan of the business? Okay, so the business analyst gets involved in understanding the business objectives, the strategy of the business, where the business wants to get to, and in that regard can then gather different data, analyze the data, come up with solutions and recommendations to help the business achieve its objectives. All right, and like I mentioned, the business analyst is involved in so many other things, from developing strategy to ensuring that projects that come up within the business are executed and completed on time, and also within budget and with the required quality. So this is the business analyst in 4 different capacities. Okay, You are a change agent, number one. You are a bridge between the stakeholders and the technology team. You understand the key objectives of the business. So you have a good understanding of the business, where the business wants to get to, what they want to achieve. And you are also involved in coming up with a strategy, in coming up with the budgeting, understanding how everything ties together at the end of the day. So this is the role of the business analyst. So it's a very exciting role. It's a role that puts you at the forefront of everybody. You get to interact with people as high as the board chairperson, gets involved with the CEOs of companies, the MDs of different companies, and you serve as a bridge between those owners of the business, the directors of the business, and the people who implement and work operationally to help the business achieve its objectives. All right. So again, just going back to the case study which we're going to solve today, the Retail Max is a superstore. They have so many products, so many different variety of products, and this attracts customers from different locations. Now, because of the number of customers that they have and the inefficient checkout system, it has caused a whole lot of problems for the business. They are losing revenue, customers are abandoning their carts, and customers have to wait for so long to get the products they've gotten paid for and leave the store in record time. So we're going to solve this problem today. And how does the business analyst start to solve this problem? How does the business analyst start? So first of all, you need to identify that there is a problem. Okay, you need to identify that there is a problem. So what is the problem statement? And understanding how to solve problem is very crucial. Like I mentioned at the beginning, every company wants somebody that will be coming in to solve a problem for them. You're not coming in to use Excel. You're not coming in to use Draw.io or any tool. No, nobody cares about those tools or how good you are. All right. The owners of the business wants people that would solve problems, problem solvers. So you need to know the problem you're solving. All right. So the problem statement is simply the inefficient checkout process. And Retail Max is experiencing long queues, leading to customer dissatisfaction and potential loss of sales. That's the problem. And this is what we are going to solve. The business analyst then would do something called gap analysis, okay, through process mapping. Process mapping is one of the most important aspects of the business analyst role. Without mapping out a process, you cannot identify the activities involved and where you can optimize, where you have gaps, where you have loopholes. You can't tell until you have mapped out the process. Okay, so the whole objective involves mapping of the process. Because first of all, you need to assess the current checkout process, which is called the current state. What is the as is? What is the as is state? As it is today, can we map out the current process? So you start by doing that. Once you map out the current process of the checkout process, you can then identify that, oh, these are the areas where we have gaps. We are still using traditional systems. We are using, manual checkout counters where customers have to go to the counter, place their items. The same person who would collect payments is the same person that will scan all those items. And things happen very slowly. So this is the current process, the as-is process. Once you are able to map out the as-is process, what next? You identify areas for improvement. All right? You'd see loopholes, you'd see the gaps, and then you can recommend improvements to optimize that process. Okay? And how will the business analysts carry out this particular task of process mapping to identify the as-is process? And once you know the as-is process, the current state, and you are able to recommend solutions You recommend and get the to-be states. To be means the future state, the optimized state. So if this is the current process as is, these are the gaps. Number one, inefficient long queues. Number two, we have traditional systems that are slow. Number three, we don't have IT support in case we have technology issues, and so on and so forth. This is the current state. So what do we need to do? Implement checkouts, self-checkout kiosk, number one. Number two, ensure that IT is readily available to provide real-time support when there is a downtime, and so on and so forth. Those are the gaps to come up with. And then you have the future states where things are what? Seamless. Customers are happy. Customers can move a whole lot faster when they come into the store to buy some items. The tool required to map out the process, the current process and the future states, you have tools like Draw.io. There are diagramming tools that helps you map out processes. All right. You can also use Microsoft Visio to carry out this particular task of process mapping, understanding what currently exists, where are the gaps, and what would be the future states. So something that looks like this. You have your current state. What's the current state? Customers queue at checkout counters to pay for items. They have to queue for long. The cashiers manually scan each item, they bag the item, and they also handle payments, which also, explains why things move very, very slowly. And lastly, you have increased cart abandonment due to long wait times. So many customers are leaving their carts and leaving the store because, they really can't wait for that long. And of course, what is the future state? What do you want to achieve from solving this particular problem? You want to have both the current traditional checkout counters plus self-checkout kiosk, where customers can go on their own, check their items and make payments without the interference of anybody. All right, that's what you want to achieve. You also want, of course, customers to scan their items themselves and pay for those items using different payment options, from mobile payments to, their credit, debit cards, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, different card payments. So this is the future state that you want to achieve. So identifying where you are currently, the current state, knowing the future states, you know that the gap, to cover that gap, you need to implement a self-checkout kiosk. So this is one of the first things the business analyst will do. Identify the problem statement, what needs to be solved, come up with a process map, understand the current state, and then identify the gaps that would help to achieve the future state. Now, after identifying the current state, looking at the future, this is what we want to achieve. These are the gaps. How do we initiate the project? We need to start up a project from here. We need to bring other stakeholders to help proffer solutions, to listen to their perspective, so that when we solve this problem, I'm not solving the problem for myself as the business analyst. I'm solving the problem for everybody. So I need to bring the key stakeholders to the table and let's get this problem solved together. So the business analyst would initiate the project initiation, another very key responsibility of the business analyst. And that's why I always tell people that business analysis cuts across 3 key areas. It cuts across data analytics, project management, and business analysis. All right. And this is the project management bit of a business analyst's responsibility. You would initiate the project initiation. So before you dive into the project itself, you need to scope the project. What are we likely going to get? All right. So you've identified the problem, you've outlined what the problem is. The problem is the queues you have, the long queues, slow checkout process. You then have to identify the scope of what we want to achieve. All right. And in the project initiation, you bring in key stakeholders that would help you scope out the project. You don't want to have a project whereby you start and then you realize that there's so many other things you did not take into consideration when initiating that project. All right. So this is one of the first things you would also do as a business analyst. And to help you with this, you need to understand project management methodologies. Which project management methodology am I going to deploy? You need to understand Agile, Scrum, Waterfall, and so on and so forth. And you'd use tools to help you track project activities, track project deliverables, to ensure that all the initiatives, all the deliverables and tasks are rightly captured and delivered. So you'd use tools like Trello, tools like Jira to track project deliverables and project activities. So once you've initiated the project, it's then important that stakeholders are also involved so that your project is all-encompassing. Your solution solves the entire project for the business. All right. So you move into stakeholder engagement. You need to engage with all the relevant stakeholders. So to solving the long queues, to implementing the self-checkout kiosk, who are the key stakeholders involved? The store manager, for example, the IT team, the cashiers, the customers, the kiosk vendors, and so on and so forth. You need to bring all the key stakeholders together. You have a meeting with them, and this is another key responsibility of the business analyst. There's going to be a lot of stakeholder engagement, stakeholder communication, and stakeholder analysis. So your analysis is where you identify who is responsible, who should be part of the team, who are the key stakeholders that should be involved in this project. All right. So you identify and list all your stakeholders. And then you have to communicate with your stakeholders using different tools, different mechanisms, identifying the appropriate channels to communicate to those stakeholders. All right. So you leverage tools like Slack. You'd use tools like Microsoft Teams. You'd use tools like Zoom for your stakeholder communication and engagement, because you need to give them regular updates. You need to have meetings regularly as the project is going on, giving regular updates, ensuring that the stakeholders are engaged, the stakeholder knows what is happening as you solve the problem. All right. Now, as you engage the stakeholders, as you have your brainstorming sessions, your meetings to gather requirements, that's the reason. You are gathering requirements. So if you meet with the store manager, you are asking questions on what do you think is required to solve this problem? What are the key areas we need? What are the key things we need to put in place in solving this problem? All right. So when you meet with the cashiers as well, you want to understand from their own perspective, what are the key aspects that are important? Somebody saying, I didn't get the first tool you mentioned for drawing up. Draw.io and Microsoft Visio. Draw.io and Microsoft Visio. Those are the tools for process mapping. All right. And the ones for project initiation, I mentioned Trello and I mentioned Jira for project tracking, for tracking project deliverables. All right. I hope you got that now. So you want to keep your stakeholders engaged, and in doing that, you're also gathering requirements from them. For example, you want to solve a problem that my department currently suffers. I have to be involved in providing the solution. You need to hear from me and hear my perspective and my own suggestion on how I think that problem can be solved. All right. So you'd get the stakeholders, gather requirements from stakeholders as a business analyst. So when you're having that meeting on Zoom, you're having the meeting on Teams, you ensure that you have tools that would help you transcribe. tools that can help you, that can give you a document, a written document at the end of the meeting, because you might not get all the requirements. You might not be attentive enough to catch everything everybody was. Give me a second. I need to mute everybody. Okay. So we don't have distractions. All right. So once you've engaged your stakeholders, you've had your different meetings, you've brought them together, you need to gather requirements as a business analyst. In fact, this is one of the most fundamental responsibility of the business analysts: requirements gathering, requirements fundamentals. All right. So you need to determine the exact needs and the expectation. Okay. So if you're solving a problem for Adeza Suleiman, who is in maybe the strategy department, you want to understand from my own expectation, how do I think I would say this problem is solved if you bring a solution to me? So you're not dumping something on my table that does not meet my own requirements. All right. So you gather requirements when you have your interviews, your surveys, your observation, and so on, to get all the things needed to solve the problem. So requirement gathering can be done using different tools. So you have your Google Forms. Okay, you can use that, create questions, come up with questions that you think would help you gather the requirements that you need. Some people even use tools as simple as Microsoft Word. You create a document, and then you have somewhere for comments and so on, and then you send the document out, even though that's not very efficient rather, because you will not get things done faster. So using Google Forms to gather requirements, and using tools like Otter AI, Autopilot, and Fireflies. So when you have that Google Meet, that Google Teams meeting, or Zoom meeting, or Google Meet, you have tools that can transcribe whatever all the different stakeholders are saying. So at the end of the day, you clearly would gather the requirements that each stakeholder would expect at the end of the day. All right, so you're going to conduct interviews, you're going to carry out surveys, and from your own observation as well, you gather requirements from stakeholders. And remember when I said the business analyst is the bridge between the stakeholders and the development team. Okay, so now that you've met with the different stakeholders, you've gathered the requirements, you know what they need. Oh, for us to solve this problem, the self-checkout kiosk must have this, and that. And your customers are also key stakeholders as well. So you need to also get their own buy-in, because they are the users. And there's something you call user stories. Okay, so your user stories, you want to get that from the perspective of the customer. Okay, the perspective of the customer, the person that would use those solutions. All right, what would you expect it to have? Oh, it has mobile payments. I can tap my mobile and I make my payments. I can use my credit or debit cards to pay. There should be somewhere to insert cash, and I also make payments as well. All right, so all these are very critical aspects of the requirements gathering phase, where you get the different perspectives from the different stakeholders before you kick the ball rolling. All right, so now that you've gathered requirements, you've met with the stakeholders, you've had interviews, there's something called elicitation. Okay, so you elicit information from different stakeholders, asking the right questions, and then you've gotten what they need based on their perspective. You then move into the SDLC phase, which is the software development lifecycle phase. Now, remember, you are implementing a solution. You are implementing a self-checkout kiosk. You would have to tailor that kiosk to meet the needs of your stakeholders, to meet the needs of your business. All right, so you would work hand in hand with the requirements you have gathered and the technology team who would be involved in helping to either procure the self-checkout kiosk or build one. Okay, so you carry out requirement analysis in this regard. Based on what you have gathered, what should this kiosk have? Oh, you've heard from customers, you've heard from the store manager, you've heard from the head of operations, you've heard from different stakeholders. This kiosk must have this. It must have somewhere for you to put in your cash. You can get change. You have somewhere to tap in your phone and make payments. You can also use your credit and debit card. Either you slot in the card or you also tap in your card to make payments, and so on and so forth. These are requirements, functional requirements, non-functional requirements that this solution must have that you've been able to gather. Also, while doing this, you incorporate your user stories from the customers. All right. So system design, you'd also work with the vendor to ensure that whatever they are designing fits the needs of the company. And this is where the technology team and yourself would work hand in hand. Remember, you have the requirements, you conducted the interviews, you deployed the surveys, you had all these sessions and gathered the requirements that was needed to provide this solution. So now that the solution is being built, is being developed, you have to be at the forefront of ensuring that every single requirement identified at the end of the day would be met by that solution. All right. And the software development life cycle is simply the cycle from where the software that will be used for that solution is developed and tested, deployed, and so on and so forth. So you would also understand what the software development life cycle is all about, from deployment to maintenance and so on, testing, how it's implemented, how it started, and you'll be a key part of that aspect in ensuring that the requirements are met, and you'd work hand in hand with the technology team. Okay, so from, like I mentioned, from the system design to meet all the needs to the implementation, having the right infrastructure, the IT team, the technology team also being a part of the process in coming up with this solution. Testing, you are going to test to be sure that once this is deployed, are you likely going to face these particular issues or bugs? And that's why you see a whole lot of times you have a beta phase of a particular software. You have the beta test where a few people are given to test to identify where you have bugs and glitches, and those glitches are, sorted out before you have a fully fledged solution that will be deployed to the public. And of course, you're going to roll out. Once you've tested, everything is good to go, you've made the necessary iterations, also in line with the requirements, you deploy, and maintenance is also part of the software development lifecycle. This is also a key responsibility of the business analyst. So there are so many tools involved in this phase as well, used by both the technology team and also the business analyst. As the business analyst, your key responsibility here is to ensure that the requirements are met. You are tracking your deliverables, your project deliverables in line with the solution that is being developed. So Jira becomes very, very important for you in this particular scenario. All right. And tools that would also help to track versions, because you'd have different versions when the system is built. Oh, this is version 1, or we've made 1 or 2 changes based on bugs and based on feedback. We have version 2.0 or version 1.1, as the case might be. So CI, Git for version control becomes very, very important, although not necessarily for the business analyst, but for the technology team. Now, once you have looked at the system that is being developed, remember, you'll be deploying this system, and you need the staff of that store and the staff across the organization to understand exactly what is being developed and how to utilize the system effectively. Not just the staff, but also the customers. Because if you have a typical customer like me, I go into the store every day, I have to wait on a queue, but now I come into the store and I see that there are self-service kiosk or self-checkout kiosk. How do I use it? How do I even know that there is a self-checkout kiosk? So education and training becomes important. All right. So who designs the lesson plan? Who designs the learning platform that would be used? What form of training would be carried out? The business analyst is also responsible for doing that. All right. So you are going to train the staff on how to use the system, because you would also understand how to utilize the system. You don't have to be the one directly to train, but you would coordinate that event, coordinate the process. Because remember, you are a change agent, not just somebody who goes into a company and solves a problem. You are a change agent. You help people navigate through change. We are used to doing this before. This is a new initiative. How do we move from the previous systems, the legacy systems, to more optimized and functional systems? So you coordinate that process, and you also come up with ways to educate the customers using signage, demonstrations, and training the different staff on how to ensure that the customers are aware there's a self-checkout kiosk. This is how to use it. If you have problems, this is what you need to do, and so on and so forth. All right. And last but not the least is feedback and continuous engagement. You've deployed the solution. You've solved the problem of implementing the self-service kiosk, following the different processes from when you initiated to when you engage your stakeholders, to when you gathered requirements, to the software development lifecycle, to when you trained staff to get to understand the tool and understand the system. You have to gather feedback. You need to be sure that the objectives are met on the long term. Okay, or in the long term, you want to be sure that your objectives are met. So continuous engagement with stakeholders, number one. And number two, you would also need to track to be sure that what you've deployed is effective. Okay, so you would leverage different tools. You want to know the number of transactions that takes place using the self-service kiosk or the self-checkout kiosk. So now that you have the counters, which is the traditional way people are used to, you've deployed self-checkout kiosk side by side. So you have self-checkout where customers can, scan their items and pay for the items themselves. And you also have the manual counters where you have people who would scan for you and you can make payments. What is the comparison of transactions after deployment? Have you reduced the queues? Do you have a progressive number of transactions happening on the self-checkout kiosk? So you'd have to utilize different analytic tools to help you measure and track the performance over time. So understanding SQL, SQL, structured query language, to enable you interact with databases, because the data from that self-service kiosk would be going somewhere, stored in a database. How do you access the database to get the data that you need to understand if you are improving or not? All right. You'd also need to build dashboards, carry out analysis using different analytic tools from Excel to Power BI to help you visualize and understand exactly what is happening, where to make changes, where to improve. If you're not getting enough traction from the self-service kiosk, are customers aware? Are there iterations that you need to make to ensure that all the process is effective? All right. So, and once you are done with this, you've gotten feedback, you've made so many iterations, you've also tracked, you've gone to the database, you've extracted data, you've used Excel to do some analysis, you have a Power BI dashboard that shows you transactions on a day-to-day or on a week-to-week basis, where you can track the use of that self-service kiosk. and see if it is meeting the objectives as deployed. You then close the project and document the project. All right. 40% of projects in any organization fails because of poor project management and poor planning. And that's why every organization wants a business analyst, not just a project manager. All right. Because I always get this question, project management, project manager, and so on and so forth. The business analyst does a whole lot more than just managing the project. A project manager just manages the project, and that's all. The business analyst goes beyond just managing the project. All right. So you document the entire process, all the challenges you faced, the solutions you've implemented, your lessons learned, most importantly, for future purposes. If you are deploying similar systems, you can always learn from the previous projects you've deployed. All right. You'd also present to your stakeholders, carry out a project debriefing to the different stakeholders, summarizing your achievements, the next steps, and so on and so forth. So I always tell people, as a business analyst, you can't hide behind a team or hide behind everybody. Okay, you'd be at the forefront leading projects. You'd be at the forefront communicating project updates, communicating project debriefs, understanding, helping the stakeholders understand what you've been able to achieve by completing different projects. And these are the key responsibilities of the business analyst. All right. In communicating, you'd use tools like PowerPoint. You'd also use tools like Confluence for collaboration. Okay. So looking at where we started, just to summarize before we move to the next step of our session today, just to do a very quick summary, we started from understanding the current state through process mapping. Where are we today? All right. Where are we today? Where do we want to be in the future? And what are the gaps? Okay. So we start from there, and then we start building the solution by, first of all, initiating a project. We want to make it a project so we can track deliverables. We can hold people responsible for several tasks, several deliverables in delivering the project eventually. So you need to use tools like Trello, tools like Jira, coming up with the project, tracking the project. You need to engage your stakeholders, different stakeholders from different departments, different units who would work with you to ensure that you gather the right type of requirements to solving the problem. You leverage tools like Slack for communication, Teams for your meetings, your stand-ups. You have leverage tools like Zoom as well. And of course, requirement gathering. This is where you gather requirements from the different stakeholders, which include your customers, obviously. Leverage tools like Google Forms, Otter AI, Fireflies, and so on and so forth. Software development lifecycle. This is where you're building, working together with the technology team and the vendor you've eventually decided to go with. If you have a software developer who is building the system, or you have a vendor who is going to deploy that system for you in-house, you are working together with them and the technology team to bring that solution to life. You track project deliverables using tools like Jira, and also check the versions, have a version control mechanism using Git on systems like GitHub, and so on and so forth. And of course, you'd also do trainings and ensure that you deploy effectively once the system is deployed. Customers understand what you've done, staff understand how to use the system, and everybody can utilize the solution effectively. Feedback and iterations, you also ensure that you gather feedback and you also monitor and track whatever you've deployed, leveraging tools like SQL to interact with databases to get your data, Excel to analyze your data, summarize, track, and Power BI for your data visualization, dashboarding, to do a month-on-month, day-to-day, week-on-week tracking to see how far you've come, how many transactions have progressively taken place on the self-checkout kiosk to track if you are achieving the objectives or not, and where you need to make changes if needed. All right. So of course, you close out the project when you're done. You close out the project leveraging different tools again, like Confluence for project collaboration and communication. Now, these are the responsibilities in a summary, from where you identify the problem to coming up with the current and the future states and walking through the entire project. That's the responsibility of a business analyst. As a business analyst in an organization, that's what you're likely going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. So when you're asked the question, how do I become a business analyst? You must learn data analytic tools. You can't run away from it. You must learn data analytic tools. You must also understand how to initiate projects. And because you'll be responsible for managing projects, tracking the project deliverables, project management methodologies are also very key. So Excel, Power BI, SQL, this gives you the data analytics part of business analysis. And you won't see this all the time. But we at Tenalytics, what we've done is we've seen the demand across different companies in different regions. Canada, the US, the UK, where you'd find a lot of demand for business analysts, especially in Canada, all right? So how do you stay competitive? How do you, separate yourself from the competition and stand out? You must have the data analytics bit, and then you learn how to manage projects using different project management methodologies. You then move to the software development lifecycle. Like I mentioned, you're going to have to manage solutions. You manage projects where solutions are being built. Software developers are building software for the company to automate processes, to make processes more efficient. So you need to understand the life cycle of how a software is developed. Requirements gathering, which is your bread and butter as a business analyst. Requirement fundamentals, elicitation, and requirement analysis, specifications and approval, and so on and so forth. You must know this as well. And then you must know how to leverage Agile and Scrum for projects. You then move to stakeholder analysis and engagement, all right? Setting performance measures. And last but not the least, ChatGPT for business analysis. We've had so many sessions on ChatGPT for data analytics, for data science, and so on and so forth. But ChatGPT goes beyond just data analytics and data science. As a business analyst, ChatGPT, generative AI, is very, very important to helping you make your work a lot easier, all right? Coming up with templates, coming up with questions for your interviews, for your brainstorming, and so on and so forth. ChatGPT plays a whole role in simplifying the process. So you learn how to use that as well. And this gets you into becoming a master business analyst, all right? And as a business analyst, what do you earn? How much do you earn in the different economies, the major economies? We've talked about all the skills, all the tools, from Power BI to process mapping, to project initiation, to Agile and Scrum for project, waterfall, and so on. Software development lifecycle, requirement fundamentals, elicitation, stakeholder analysis, ChatGPT for business analysis. In the UK, and I'll show you, we're going to look at different roles together. Business analysis falls under one of the shortage occupations in the UK. So you have something called the shortage occupation list, SOL, where you have different occupations that are in very high demand across the UK. Business analysis is one of them. And because of that, business analysts are very fast to get off the job market. All right. So in the UK, per annum, on the average, as a business analyst, you earn about £52,500. In Canada, about £74,000 per annum on the average, and in the US, about 85,000 US dollars. How long does it take you to become a business analyst? And this is the beauty of business analysis. The beauty of business analysis: 3 months, 2 months project-based classes. So for 2 months, you'd work on different projects. You would learn by working on projects, by solving problems. We emphasize projects in all our programs because projects is the only tool, is the only way of learning that would cover your experience gap. Okay, so you want to get a job as a business analyst. You've never worked as a business analyst before. So how do you start to bridge the gap between where you are and getting a job as a business analyst? You need to work on projects that you would work on when you get a job as a business analyst. So day to day, when you have your classes, you work on projects every Saturday and Sunday to solve different problems. So your project for 2 months, project-based classes, and then 1 month internship. So the 1 month internship is where you as the business analyst would project manage a key project which involves other professionals, from data analytics to data engineering to data science and so on and so forth. You'd work on a project yourself, and then you would manage another project utilizing all the tools you've learned, from Jira to gathering the requirements to and so on and so forth, to Trello, Confluence for collaboration, and so on and so forth. So this is what you'd be doing during the internship. So firsthand, you are working in a real life work scenario, helping to solve real life problems. So when you get the job, day one, you know what to do as a business analyst, right? And how would you learn with us at Tenalytics? For the business analysis program, you have classes on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays, we have 2 different classes, depending on your region or depending on where you are joining from. For example, if you are joining from somewhere in Africa, West Africa, joining from somewhere in the UK, somewhere across Europe, you have similar time zones, all right? So your class starts 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the morning, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, if you're in the US or you're in Canada, you can't join a class that starts at 11 a.m. West Africa time. That's too early. That would be around 5 a.m. your time, which would be too early for anybody to join a class. So we have another class for those in the US, in Canada, and other regions where you have different time zones. Okay, so we have another class for participants that fall within that category, where your class starts at 4 p.m. West Africa time, which is around 11 a.m. your time as well, Eastern time. Toronto, Canada time is 11 a.m., which is an appropriate time for you to get into class in the morning. All right. So this is the way we've structured the class. You can decide to be in any of the classes depending on your own schedule. You could be in Nigeria, for example, and join the evening class because on a Saturday morning, you are busy with other activities. That is totally fine, with us. You decide on how and which class you'd like to be a part of. And on Sundays, we also have classes as well. Sundays, we have classes in the afternoon from 4 p.m. I'm not sure this is correct. This should be 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I beg your pardon. I'm just going to correct this very quickly. It's 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., not 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. for the Sunday class. So just give me 1 second. I'll correct and then I'll share again so that we don't get confused. Okay, it's 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. For those in West Africa, for those in yes. So there you go. So 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. If you're in Nigeria, if you're in Ghana, you're in Kenya, you're in the UK, you are somewhere in Europe, in Germany, you have a similar time zone. So 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. Now, if you're somewhere in the US or you're somewhere in Canada, your class starts at 7 p.m. on Sunday. All right. So 7 p.m., your time in Canada would be around 2 p.m. Okay. So that's an appropriate time for you to be a part of the class. So you have live classes on Saturdays, you have live classes on Sundays, where you have a professional that will work with you, you work on projects together, you'd understand the business analysis concept, you'd learn how to use Excel to solve problems. You're going to build projects, you build projects using Power BI, you build projects using SQL, as well, Postgre, SQL to solve key problems. And I have the breakdown of all the programs you're going to learn, and you have, you can go through the nitty-gritty of what you'd learn for each program, the nitty-gritty of what you'd learn for each program. Now, as a business analyst, one other key aspect is applying to jobs. And I want to ask a question very quickly. We can't put the countries beside the timing, Harriet, because we have participants joining from a minimum of over 30 countries. So we can't put 30 countries, in a slide. So you just look at the time zone. The timing is in West Africa time, okay? So you do the conversion. If you're in the US, for example, Eastern time is about 6 hours ahead of West Africa. So if you have a class starts at 7 p.m., that's around 12 noon. Okay, that's around 2 p.m., around 2 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so you just do the conversion, but we've made it easy, flexible for you to join irrespective of your region. Okay, so you don't have to join classes at odd hours. I've seen so many scenarios where people join other programs and they have to join very early in the morning because class starts at 11 a.m. in the UK. 11 a.m. in the UK is around 5 a.m. in Canada, in some province in Canada. All right. You don't want to join a class at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. So we have another class during that same day, later in the day, that fits into your own schedule. All right. And of course, at the end, when you're done, you have a certificate. Who knew before today that as a business analyst, you can apply to a job as a change management analyst? Change management analyst. And this is where a whole lot of people get it wrong as well. All right. So because I have learned business analysis, when I'm searching for a job, I can only search for what? Business analyst role. And these are some of the things we help you understand. No, that is very incorrect. All right. You have so many different nomenclature, different job titles within the same business analysis realm. It only depends on what the organization is looking for at that particular point in time. So as a business analyst, you can apply to jobs as a business analyst, you can apply to jobs as a business analyst, which is pretty straightforward. You can apply to jobs as a continuous improvement analyst, change management analyst, business support analyst, business process analyst, business systems analyst, even business data analyst, IT business analyst, operations analyst, and you see so many different job titles. The question is, how do you identify if a job is right for you? And that is where you have to look at the job requirements. And this is what we teach you when you join us or register with us at Tenalytics. We show you what you have to take note of during the job application process. You are not just applying to business analyst roles because you have learned business analysis. All right. So why should you train with Tenalytics and not anywhere else? Why are we proud of the work that we do? And why are we the best in the business? Number one is our up-to-date curriculum. All right. You'd go to any, I can guarantee you 100%, you'd not find ChatGPT for business analysis anywhere else. You will not find it anywhere. We have a ChatGPT for business analysis module as part of your curriculum. All right. The curriculum is also designed in line with the IIBA for the North America body of knowledge for business analysis and the BCS for the UK body of knowledge in business analysis. So the curriculum is all-encompassing, very robust to capture the practical aspects of the business analyst role. So you're not learning theory, you are learning by doing. You are learning what you'll be doing as a business analyst when you get a job eventually. That's number one. Number two, you work with the best industry experts, business analysts that comes from different, the biggest organizations. And I'll be showcasing the profile of some of the business analysts you'll be working with. That'll work with you to also help you get into the space. We have different blended training models to also help you achieve your objective. So apart from your learning, the classes you have on Saturdays and Sundays, you have presentations, okay? Once you create, and this is also what distinguishes us from other people in the market, all right? Now, people are used to building dashboards with Excel, with Power BI, and so on, but it solves nothing. It's just fancy. It doesn't solve anything. The key aspects, and where we've seen the gap with so many people, they can build stuff, but they are not solving any problem. So one of the things you do is when solving a problem and you build a dashboard to track or to visualize or to show what happened and why it happened, you must also come up with your insights. All your insights must be actionable. Okay, so if you do a trend to show me, oh, the number of people that have been using the self-checkout kiosk has increased, but it declined within a particular period, what should we do? So you're not just showing me things, you are giving actionable insights. And these are some of the things you would also do. So as a business analyst, you'll be presenting every single dashboard you create, you're going to present. So you have presentations, you'd have group work and group presentations that would also help bring out that communication skills in you. Additional employability services to help you look for jobs, prepare you to get the best jobs out there, how to tailor your CV, and I'll talk about that in a short while. This is very, very important to helping you get a job. And of course, like I said, I think we have enough time. We're meant to wrap up at 7 p.m. So I have enough time. I'll show you how to check for jobs and apply to jobs before we call it a day today. All right. How do you check for jobs? How do you apply to jobs? I'll show you how to do that as well. And last but not the least is the internship. The internship is absolutely phenomenal and very important for you to helping you get a job because you want to show that you've done it before. Okay, you want to show that you've been able to work as a business analyst, you've solved this problem, and this is what you've been able to achieve. And the combination of all of this gets you the dream job in tech that you want to transition into. The additional employability services includes your CV. That's number one. If you come to me and tell me that I've been trying to apply to a job, I've been getting rejections, the first thing I would ask you is send me your CV. Let me have a look at your CV. It all starts from there. The second part is your LinkedIn profile. So is your CV optimized? Does your CV capture the skills that does it capture the keywords of a business analyst? If you're applying to a particular job, did you do a job matching to see if your CV matched the job requirements? Or you're one of those people that apply with one CV to 100 jobs or 1,000 jobs, and you feel very good that today I applied to 50 jobs, but you did that with just one CV, easy apply, and at the end of the day, you don't get any feedback, any positive feedback. Right? So one of the things we do is to show you how to match your job with the job description. So easily you can tell if you have areas and gaps that you need to address. And we've had so many sessions on the CV review. I personally also work with the current cohorts, showing them how to use tools like ChatGPT to tailor your CV. So you've been doing something different for the last 5 years, for example. You've been in logistics. but now you want to move into business analysis. How do you tailor your previous logistic experience to have a flavor of business analysis? How do you do that easily, right? And these are the things that we show to our participants to help them do to increase the chances of them getting jobs eventually when they start applying to jobs. All right. So again, that's for the CV review. The LinkedIn optimization, I've seen so many people without LinkedIn profile. I never believed that could ever exist, but I asked somebody one day, oh, send me your LinkedIn profile. And he told me, I don't have a LinkedIn profile, but I'll create one very quickly and I'll send it to you. And he did created one very quickly and he sent it to me. I was marveled. You're trying to get a job, but you don't have a LinkedIn profile. So again, these are, social platforms that helps to put us out there. Somebody said they can't hear me. Ubong, please just type yes in the chat if you can hear me, so I know I'm still audible. Type in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, yes. Thank you very much, Abdulrazak and Grace. So you can still hear me. So LinkedIn is absolutely important. LinkedIn serves as social proof. Today, recruiters and employers, they don't just check your LinkedIn, they check other platforms, interestingly, because they want to see who you are beyond who you said you are. Okay, so apart from just LinkedIn, they check other platforms. So imagine you don't even have a LinkedIn profile that clearly shows your social proof of you talking about business analysis, showing that you've implemented one or two things here and there. So we help you optimize your LinkedIn profile if you don't have an optimized LinkedIn profile. And if you don't have a profile at all, we'll work with you to help you create one. Now, Upwork optimization. I want to work remotely. I want to work on jobs for different companies in the UK, in the US, but I want to stay, I don't want to travel to those countries, all right? Upwork is a platform that gives you access to remote jobs, remote job opportunities for you to work on projects, for you to work on tasks and assignments and get paid in dollars, in euros, you work from your location, you get paid in dollars and in euros, and you spend in your local currency. So we help you build an Upwork profile if you don't have one. If you do have one, we help you optimize your Upwork profile. Navigating the job market, very, very important as well. Very, very important as well, right? We've had so many sessions on different career paths, different ways to take advantage, different opportunities that exist in different countries. And that's what we do during navigating the job market sessions, all right? We show you how to apply to jobs, where to apply to these jobs, the opportunities that are available, and how you can tap into those opportunities. Very, very key. For example, I always give this example. How do you get a skilled worker visa? If you've come into the UK for a master's, how do you transition from what you do to from your student visa, a tier 4, to a tier 2 skilled worker visa? Tier 4 is a student visa. So how do you transition from a student visa to a skilled worker visa? The first thing you need to know is you need 70 points. That's number one. A whole lot, 90% of the people I've met don't know that it is a point-based system. And for those that know that it is a point-based system, they don't know the criteria to getting the 70 points, right? So these are the things we also bring to bear. We show you this is what you need to take note of, and this is how you can make the switch and make the transition. Number 5 is recommendation and reference letters. So we provide recommendations and references to organizations that want to hire you. Okay, they want to know that you've worked with somebody before, you are of good character, you are credible, and we can hire you. All right, every organization would want to know that they're hiring the right person. For example, I want to hire Chidima. Okay, I want to hire Chidima, for example. Chidima, nobody knows who Chidima is, apart from who she has said she is, her LinkedIn profile, her CV. Organizations would want to find out who you've worked with before, Who can stand as a referee? Who can we call and ask about you? Who can we send a form and tell to provide a feedback about you? So they'll ask questions from how many times you've missed work, to how many times you've been involved in disciplinary issues, to your strengths and your weaknesses, your areas for improvement. They ask all these questions to the nitty-gritty, to the T, so that they get to understand who you are and if you're a superstar. For us, we know that every organization would want to hire a superstar. So we provide your recommendations and your references in line with that. Obviously, looking at what you've also done in terms of your attendance in class and so on and so forth. Okay. So Chidima is asking, do you guys hold student hands until they get jobs, or does it doesn't end when in fact, people that joined since February are still joining, that started with us since February, that haven't gotten jobs, they are still joining. Somebody that completed our program in March this year, I still had a meeting with her today at 2 p.m. on how she's looking for how she can, make a pivot in her career and so on. We had a meeting today. So that ongoing support is always there for you until you are able to land a job. All right. Interview preparation, which is also very important, which is what do I say when I get into an interview? I'm being interviewed for a business analyst role. What do I say? How do I answer simple questions like introduce yourself? How do I answer questions like tell me how you've used Jira to track a project? Tell me how you have optimized processes. What is this? How do you answer those questions? How do you prepare for the questions? How do you preempt the questions that are likely going to get asked? Okay, this is where we also work with you, help you prepare for interviews and so on and so forth. And we have our weekly mentorship sessions every Thursday evenings. Fantastic sessions. I've been taking the weekly mentorship for the last 3 weeks. And next week, Thursday, we have a fantastic session. Let me tell you what the session is all about. This Thursday, we have 3 people that would be applying to fictitious jobs. Okay, so we'll do a role play, sort of a scenario role play. So they would have applied to jobs, and then I would ask them questions based on their CV and the job requirements. So you'd have in a mentorship session, you have about 300 plus people. And then you have one person who will be interviewed, ask questions, and the person would respond. Okay, so what does that do? What's the advantage? To the person answering the questions or the person on the hot seat being interviewed would build interview confidence. Because trust me, you need a whole lot of confidence to speak in front of people that likely know more than you. All right. So how do you answer questions? You get instant feedback, and you also would improve your interview experience going forward. If you are somebody that is shy, you can't make a good, presentation of yourself, you start to learn. And it's 100%, a volunteer, you volunteer to be a part of it. So the advice we always give is, if you know you are the shy type, if you know, oh, I don't like to speak in public and so on, that's the best time for you to shine, because you are in front of your colleagues. Of course, people would give you feedback and so on, but you have the opportunity to sit on the hot seat and present the very best, your very best self. Having prepared in time for that interview day, you come in, we ask you questions, and then you answer the questions and you get instant feedback. For the audience who will be watching, you would also learn 1 or 2 things from how to answer questions. And from the feedback I'll be giving, and the co-founder would also be giving, Efemena, you'd also be able to learn how to answer questions in a particular way using different techniques and structure. All right. So we're doing that this Thursday for those who are currently on the program. And last but not the least, just like Chidima asked, on the job support. If you get a job, you need that soft landing to ensure that you do things right. You don't mess up and lose the job. So we work with you to ensure that everything that you need to stay on the job, you have it. you have our support to achieve that. All right. You'd work with the best professionals. You'd work with me directly during your mentorship. You'd always see me. I would always be there to take questions, to encourage you going forward. We'd have different sessions on how to apply to jobs. For me, the focus every mentorship I take is on job application, from tailoring your CV to applying to jobs and so on and so forth. You'd also work with the co-founder, Ifemena, who would also work with you as well, show you how to transition, what you need to take note of, feedback that you can't get anywhere. All right, direct feedback, opportunity to engage industry experts. You also have Linda. Linda is one of the leads of the business analysis program. Linda has over 10 years experience. She's worked with the government in Ghana. She's worked with Metafrox, an integrated oil and gas company. Linda is a business analysis expert. You'd also work with Linda. You'd work with Oluwaseun. Seun works with Visa in the UK as a product reliability engineer. He's also worked as a business analyst with MTN back in Nigeria. He has a master's in data science from the University of Salford. Oluwaseun is also one of our top leads in the business analysis program. You'd work with Nena, who is a product manager with Sapphire Stevenson's in the UK. She's a senior product manager, and Nena would work with you as well. We have Olabisi, who is a business analyst with Access Bank in Nigeria. She would also be part of the facilitators that work with you in your business analysis program. And the ever-intelligent Francis. Francis also worked in the UK for Alvarez and Massal. Work with you to help you understand the key aspects in business analysis. And you have a whole, league of fantastic professionals across the globe, from Nigeria to the UK to Canada. You have people that work with you to help you make that switch into business analysis. All right. When is the next cohort starting? The next cohort starts on the 7th of October, 2023. That's next week, Saturday. Okay. We've had so many business analysis sessions, practical sessions, where we've shown you how to optimize processes and so on and so forth. And this is the last business analysis masterclass we are having September is over already. But for this cohort starting on the 7th, this is the last business analysis masterclass. So this is also one of the last times you have to be a part of the program. All right. You want to get into business analysis in the UK, in Canada, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in the US. Tenalytics is the best place to learn to become a business analyst. I'll show you some of the projects you're going to work on and how your lesson would flow from one step to the other, and so on and so forth. And I'd have loved to show you, let's see if we can showcase Rahmat. Okay. For those of you that have joined the masterclass, I'm sure you've listened to Ikmat several times, but let's listen to Rahmat. Okay. And I hope you can hear clearly, because Rahmat, the audio is a bit low. And if you can't hear clearly, my recommendation would be to, when you get the slides, ensure that you click on the link and listen to Rahmat's story. Okay. Rahmat joined our program in March, and she completed the program, completed her internship, and she was able to get a job, a fully sponsored job as a business analyst here in the UK. All right. Rahmat's video is just for 1 minute. So I'll play it just for 1 minute, and then we'll come back to wrap up our session for today, and I'll take questions and answers. I'm just checking the time, and I can see that I am very well on time. Okay. So let's listen to Rahmat very quickly, and then we'll come back to complete the slide. Okay, so let's listen to Rahmat. Just give me 1 second. Let me move this here. All right, so you please let me know if you can hear the audio. I'll play it, and then you let me know if you can hear the audio. All right, if you can hear the audio, just type in a yes in the chat.
I good day. My name is Ramat, and if you're stumbling on this, trust me, you've landed in the right place, because I'm going to be briefly sharing my experience with you about my journey with Tenalytics and how I was able to get a job within 3 months of joining the cohort. I joined them and enrolled for the course. Tenalytics has well-seasoned facilitators who are experts in the field. Imagine not having any experience beforehand as a business analyst and finishing with Tenalytics as a pro. Personally, I also got interview preparation sessions that helped me prepare well for my interviews, and this enabled me ace my interview. So if you're looking to transition or you're having any doubt, trust me, you shouldn't, because Tenalytics is really amazing and you should consider enrolling.
All right. So, the audio is not very fantastic, especially from Zoom. So what I'll advise you to do is click on the link. You have that in the slide. Okay, click on the link, listen to the amazing story. This is Ramat. Ramat, within 3 months of joining us, she was able to transition to a business analyst role in the UK. And just before, I know a lot of people are asking, how much is the program? What does it take for me to start? I want to show you something very quickly, which is the shortage occupation list. First of all, which if you're in the UK or you are in Canada and you're in business analysis, trust me, you are in the right place. You are in the right career path to easily get a job as a business analyst. All right. So what I'll do very quickly is let's see the shortage occupation list very quickly. All right. Let's see the shortage. Let's type it in: shortage occupation list UK gov. I'm just going to type gov.uk. All right. And let's see what it gives us. And let's open it and see. So skilled worker visa, shortage occupations. Let's open this and see. Okay. It was last updated on the 7th of August, 2023. So I'm just going to scroll down. So what is the shortage occupation? The shortage occupation list shows you the jobs that are in high demand. And if you have an offer from any of these jobs, it gives you automatic 20 points. Remember, I talked about 70 points to get to a skilled worker visa. So having any job from the shortage occupation alone is 20 points. And if you can get that, if you have a job from the shortage occupation, the other points are pretty straightforward to get. So I'm just going to scroll down and show you. All right. So 2135. So for those getting into tech in the UK, 2135 is a very good place for you to look at. All right. IT business analyst, architects, and system designers. Okay, IT business analyst, architect, and system designers. So this 2135 as a business analyst, number one, you're high in demand. Number two, automatic 20 points on the skilled worker visa transition. Very important for you to know. Okay, what does it take to be a part of the program? If you want to be a part of the program, 600 Canadian dollars. If you're paying in Canadian dollars, if you're paying in pounds, 400 pounds, and if you're paying in naira, 320,000 naira. But I have an amazing discount for you. My discount ends on Wednesday, right? For those that joined our session yesterday, several sessions. We had sessions on data engineering, data analytics, data science. We had sessions on financial analytics. So the discounts for the business analysis and any other program starting on the 7th of October ends on Wednesday, the 4th of October. All right. So instead of paying 600 Canadian dollars or 400 pounds or 320,000 naira, the first 20 people from this call, from this session, gets a £100 discount. So you get to pay 300. Sorry. You get to pay 300 instead of 400, and you can also make your payment in 2 installments. All right. So you'll be learning with the best in the industry. You equip yourself with the skill to get a job, just like Ramat and so many other people. I'll be sharing some of the testimonial that we have on the slides with you. So many people that have been able to transition into business analysis after completing their training with us. And those jobs come with full sponsorship. So £200 first payment, second payment, £100, 1 month after the program commences. Rather than paying 320,000, you get to pay 270, 180 to get into the class, and then 90,000 1 month after the program commences. And if you are paying in Canadian dollars, 500 Canadian dollars, the discounted fee instead of 600, and 350 to start, 150 1 month after the program commences. All right. And how do you make payments? Very straightforward. My colleagues would share the link to the chat, and I would also show you how to also make payment to be a part of the first 20 to register from this session. But something I also want to mention, it's once we get to the first 20, we get to the first 20 today, the discount is off the table. But on Wednesday, irrespective of the first 20 or not, by Wednesday, the 4th of October, the registration closes and discount also closes to be a part of the October cohort with us at Tenalytics. All right. So I'll showcase what the payment options look like for those of you who want to make payments. How do you make payments? And we have several options for you. All right. The very first option, if you are in Nigeria, you are in Ghana, you are in Kenya, you are in Africa, you want to make payments, you can use the Naira payments option using Paystack. Okay. So if I click on this link that says full or first payments, it takes me to where I need to make payments. Okay. This is business analysis. I click on business analysis, and you can select if you want to make the full payment or make the part payment. If I want to make full payment, for example, I click on this drop down and I select what? Full payment. And you see the discounted fee of 270. If I want to make the part payment because I want to split my payment into two, I can select from here, select part payment. I pay 180, and 1 month after class commences, I pay the balance of 90,000. All right. So for the Ghanaians in the house, the Ghanaians also make payments using Paystack. So all it does is it does the conversion for you from Naira to cedis, and you can make your payments. Now, if you're in Germany, you're in Poland, you're in Belgium, you're in France, you're somewhere around Europe, how do you also join the program? If you don't want to pay in Naira, for example, you can make payments using PayPal. All right. So you click on either the full payment or part payment. If I click on full payment, for example, it takes me to the PayPal option. I can either make payments. If I have a PayPal account, I make payments using PayPal, or I make payments using my card. So if I click on buy now, right, and I click on PayPal, I can then enter my PayPal details if I want to make payments using PayPal, or I can select the credit or debit card option. And as soon as you make payments, we receive your payments, we confirm your payments, and you receive a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains all the tools, your lesson plan, and everything you need to be a part of the program. You have that in the welcome kit. So if I click on pay by debit or credit card, all right, it would show me where to enter my details. And once I enter my region, my phone number, my card, and all my details, I pay as a guest because I don't want to pay using PayPal. So these are the options. Please, if you have your video on, just put it off so that we don't distract other people. So I'm going to switch off the videos myself. But please, you don't need to put on your videos. All right. Thank you very much. Again, you also have the opportunity to, so once you can also make payments using a direct transfer. You can pay using a direct transfer to our UK bank account if you are paying in pounds, or you can also make payments in Naira to our Naira bank account, which is a Fidelity bank account. All right. And once you make payments, all you have to do is take a screenshot of your payments, your proof of payments, and then you upload your payments here. You'd see where to upload your initial and full receipt. So if I click on this, you'd see the link where you can go ahead and enter your details for the October program. You'd see the option that also allows you upload your receipts. Now, some people would say, oh, October is very busy for me. I would like to join in November. Go ahead. You can also join in November. All you have to do is take advantage of the discount for this month, make your payment, and defer your program to November, because you'd see the option where you'll be asked, when do you want to start? Do you want to start in October, November, or December? You can defer 2 months into the future. You can't defer beyond 2 months, okay? So you can make your payment, take advantage of the discount, and then you start in November or you start in December, all right? One of the unique opportunities you have if you start with the October cohorts is you get to start your class on the 7th of October, and by November, ending of November, you'll be almost done with all the live classes, your capstone project, and you'll be moving into your internship come December. So you're moving into the new year 2024, primed with the skills to apply and get a job as a business analyst. For those of you that are migrating, traveling to Canada, traveling to the UK, I'm sick and tired of Nigerians, seeing Nigerians always focusing on doing care jobs, support work, domiciliary care, working in the warehouse. We want more Africans, more people of the Black community getting jobs that have a very clear career progression, and we need to start dominating the tech space across the major economies. One of the things I've seen myself here in the UK and across other organizations I've worked with is the skills that it takes to get started are very easy to get, okay? All it takes is that one job to get started. Once you get that one job, that's all you need. All right. And you'd hear a whole lot of misconceptions. Oh, you need Canadian work experience. Oh, you need, UK experience. It doesn't exist anywhere. It's just a bunch of excuses for people who cannot get the jobs. All right. So you'd see the same people telling you that you need Canadian work experience. And those people they're working in hotels as cleaners, or they're working as care workers. How would a care worker job help you get a job as a business analyst? That's an irrelevant, job to business analysis, irrelevant work experience, right? And we've seen and we've helped too many people who are new within the space get jobs in all these regions easily, all right? Too many to believe all those excuses of Canadian work experience, or you need to have a degree in this and that. Those are all misconceptions, all right? And it's time to have as many Africans, people of the Black community into tech, just like the way the Indians are doing this and achieving this, okay? All right, so I'm going to take questions, and then I think we start to call it a day. So let's take questions. Ubong, please confirm if we have anybody coming to speak. If we have them on the call, so I can bring them up. Ubong, can you confirm? So we have some of our participants who joined us, and they want to share their experience of what they've been able to do so far after joining our program. And then I'll take questions before we call it a day. Ubong, confirm that we have. All right. So let's take questions while we wait. Okay. Let's take questions while we wait. So I have a question from Ayo. Somebody's asking, oh, confirm the cost again. So that's the cost on the screen. Okay, that's the cost on the screen. Let me take Ayo's question. Ayo is saying that, do you help on getting a job in Nigeria? Because all I'm hearing is Canada and UK. The same way you get a job in Canada and in the UK is the same way you get a job in Nigeria as well. All right. What we do for you is we show you what you need. We help you look for those jobs. Okay. We send you links on where to apply to these jobs. We show you how to match your CV using different tools from JobScan to Jobalytics to ChatGPT. How do you match your CV to job requirements so that you have the right keywords? And when that CV goes through the ATS, it gets picked up for an interview. All right. So we help you with all these things to help your job application more successful, or for you to get more interview requests, and we can work with you to help you prepare for those interviews. Okay, the lady I was speaking to today, who is a data analyst in Nigeria, she wants to get a job in Nigeria, and we are working with her to help her get a job in Nigeria as well. All right. However, we focus a whole lot on you trying to get a job in the major economy. All right. You can be in Nigeria and work as a business analyst from Nigeria. So how do you tap into such opportunities as well? What if I want to be paying small? What does small by small mean, Sukomzi? You want to explain what that means. Okay. Can the full stack data science program help you get jobs? No, it cannot. There are different sets of skills. If you've seen what I've explained, Gustav, as a full stack data scientist, you are doing predictive analytics with Excel, with Tableau, with SQL. You are learning statistics. You are learning Python for exploratory data analysis, machine learning, computer vision. You're not doing any of that as a business analyst. You can't get a job as a business analyst having learned data science, because the skill sets are totally different, totally different. All right. I have attended the masterclass on data analytics and business analysis. What do you advise someone on how to choose between the program? It all depends on you. Sorry, what's the name? Collins. It all depends on what you want to do. In terms of the demand and in terms of getting a job, the two jobs are high in demand, and you get a job anywhere across the globe. Now, if you are somebody who feels comfortable working behind the screen, doing a lot of analysis, creating a lot of dashboards and so on and so forth, and communicating your insights, data analytics is good for you. If you want to manage projects, you want to have a lot of meetings, you want to interview people, brainstorm with people, manage, create process maps and things like that, you are that person who wants to become the business analyst. All right. You'd be out there. You'd understand the business. You'd hold meetings from time to time. You'd have to update stakeholders. You'd have to track project deliverables using project management tools like Trello, like Jira, and so on and so forth. All right. So you would have to decide on the career path that would be most appropriate for you going forward. If it's in terms of the demand is there. And like I said, I was going to show you how to search for these jobs and apply. All right. How do I make the decision? Just don't do a many more data analytics or business analysis. Honestly, it's always tricky, but just know that as a data analyst, you do a whole lot of analysis, more in-depth. You'd use SQL. You'll be more detailed with your understanding of SQL compared to the business analyst. You'd also know how to use tools like Power BI and Tableau to carry out a whole lot of analysis compared to the business analyst. So the business analyst will just do a fraction of the data analytics duties that you would do as a data analyst. The business analyst is just a fraction of that. All right. So that's one of the major differences. As a data analyst, you're not managing any projects. You're not creating any process maps. You're not identifying inefficiencies in processes. You're not engaging you would engage stakeholders as a data analyst to communicate your insights, but you are most of the time going to deal with systems, interacting with the database, creating your dashboards using Excel. And where you'll be communicating is where you are showing people the insights and the recommendations from the analysis that you've done. On the other hand, as the business analyst, you would be the one leading the project. So you could be leading a project as a business analyst, and a data analyst would be a part of the team on that project that you are leading. All right. You won't do the analysis as the business analyst. You'd focus more on the projects, on optimizing the processes, on gathering the requirements, and so on and so forth. Okay. Yes, I'm aware you have a partner financier. No, we don't. We used 2 years ago, but we don't have anymore. All right. We don't have anymore. Is business analysis a viable course for someone who is crowd shy? No. But, shyness can be overcome. You can overcome it. Stage fright can also be overcome. You can overcome stage frights. You can learn the skills to speak in public and overcome stage fright. That's something that's very easy to do. So if that's the reason why you don't want to get into business analysis, then know that there is a solution for that. And one of the ways we've also implemented, we've put some level of checks within the program itself, is to ensure that you present from time to time. You present in your class. You have major presentations, personal presentations, group presentations. So you'd have to speak at some point. Abiodun sent that to me privately. All right. Can I pay 2 installments, like first phase, 100K, and pay up? So if you want such a plan, all you have to do is reach out to us and would help you, work out something. Okay. We don't make that available to everybody. So for the I don't know the gentleman or lady who said, can I pay in 2 installments, 100K, pay up after 1 month? Just reach out to us, to any of these numbers. Send us a message, and one of the customer success associates would get back to you and would help you work out a payment structure. All right? Okay. Or you can also send an email, just like Ubong has sent, to businessanalysis@10analytics.org. and somebody would respond to you. Do you scout for jobs from international companies? I think I mentioned that earlier, Olushola. We have an employability partner, somebody who would work with you, who would provide links for you to apply to, show you how to apply, where to apply to jobs. Organizations also reach out to us personally to recommend, and we reach out back to our participants. If you're interested, send your CVs, and we send those CVs to them, and so on. So there's so many ways. You have 10Analytics as a platform to help you get the job that you need. All right. Chidima, how many projects will the class be working on throughout the duration? You're going to work on a minimum during your program itself, the project-based classes. You're going to work on a minimum of 6 projects, and during your internship, another 2 projects, 1 capstone and 1 internship. Right? Let me see. Olushola, if anyone wants to learn data analytics and also business analysis, of course you have to pay. You have to pay separately for the 2 programs. Business analysis and data analytics are 2 different programs, 2 different programs entirely. All right. Let's see which one has more career prospects. Both of them, have very high demand when searching for jobs. All right. My interest is in Scrum Master. Scrum Master is just a small part of business analysis. It's a good career path anyways, but as a Scrum Master, it's not very easy to grow on that role. All right. Because it's very niched and very limited as well. So for me, my advice is you might look at Scrum Master on the short term, but you want to move into something more elaborate eventually, like business analysis. Scrum is a part of the program you learn during the business analysis program, just like Ubong, I think, has responded to you. Another question I can see here, I'm already a project manager with project experience in construction management. Yes, your skill sets complements business analysis. There's a convergence between project management and business analysis. You have, I told you at the beginning that business analysis is broken into 3. And you saw that data analytics, where you learn Excel, Power BI, SQL. project management methodologies, where you'd learn Agile, Scrum, Waterfall, and so on for project management. And then you'd also learn the business analysis core competencies. Yes, you can access the recordings on YouTube. Okay, so subscribe to our YouTube channel. So whenever we upload any of our master classes on YouTube, you have access to it. All right, so let's try to search for a job and let's see if we can apply to a job very quickly before we wrap up. Again, please listen to all these fantastic professionals that joined our program. They've done amazing stuff. They've done amazing stuff joining our program. So many of them, Nathan, Amaka, Adesola. Let me tell you Desola's story a little bit. Desola joined the program with us. Now, when Desola completed our program and she started applying to jobs, she applied to the NHS, okay? And she was requested to do a presentation the following day. Now, we had a mentorship session the night before her presentation. She had worked with one of our data associates to help her prepare for that interview. And she sent me a message here. You can see this. I told her to send me her presentation. Let me have a look at it. And she sent it to me and said, "Hi, Adeza, I just shared my presentation with you." This was in July. I looked at the presentation and I was responding to her, "Look, Desola, your presentation looks fantastic. All right, go ahead, present, but just ensure you stick to the time," because she had just a 10 minutes limit to present her findings. And this was her response after she went for the interview. "Hello, Adeza, I'm pleased to inform you that I got the job with the NHS." Okay, and one of the feedback she got from this interview was she was the best when it came to the business analysis questions. She was the best out of all the candidates they interviewed. They interviewed both internal and external candidates. So for the questions around the NHS, she didn't do as well as she did with the business analysis questions, because of course, those that work internally would know more about the NHS than Desola, who is applying from the outside. But in terms of the core business analysis questions, Desola was the best. And she got the job. She started her job working with the NHS as a business analyst. So many success stories, so many people who have been able to make the switch in business analysis. Somebody else I want to quickly point out before I show you different jobs as business analyst. I hope I have it here. Yes, Rafiat. The co-founder of Tenalytics, Efemena, one day, he got a contract with the POL, Post Office in the UK. And while he was on a Teams session, a Teams meeting, somebody sent him a message on Teams. "Hello, Efemena, how are you doing? I'm so surprised. Are you working with the POL now?" And he was surprised that who knows me in the post office, you know? So eventually she reached out to him and she told him that, "Oh, Efemena, I joined the Tenalytics business analysis program and I got a job with the post office in the UK as a business analyst." And I mean, that was one of the most fulfilling, points of not just Efemena's, career, mine as well, especially with regards to Tenalytics. So we had somebody who had joined our program, was working with the post office, and Efemena, the co-founder of Tenalytics, also was helping the post office, complete a data migration project within the organization. So it was fantastic. So it was like a master student, relationship, so to speak. It was an absolutely phenomenal experience. So Ayo is asking, do I need CBAP before I can be considered for a shot? Absolutely no. Big no. Big no. You don't need CBAP. You do not. I'm going to repeat it again. You do not need CBAP. That's one of the misconceptions. It's fancy to have it, right? It's fancy, just like every other title. People get titles here and there. It's fancy to have it, but it is not necessary. I'll repeat, it is not necessary. So to show you and how you can also check if it's necessary or not, do your checks, apply to jobs, check for jobs, and see if one of the requirements is for you to have a certification. All right. For all the people that have gotten jobs, from Rafiat to Ramat to Amaka, all the people you have on the slide, no single certificates. I have worked close to a decade as a data analyst, no single one certificate. And I always tell people, when people ask me, oh, as a data analyst, do I need the Google certificates? Do I need the Microsoft? Do I need the IBM? The IBM is the most ridiculous when people say, I'm going to do the IBM certification on Coursera and so on. It's the most, IBM is dead as a company. And you're learning data analytics from IBM. Nobody would take you seriously, right? So what organizations need, and we need to start to shift our mindset away from what we've always known. Organizations want somebody that can apply the skills practically. All right, I can sit for a CBAP exam within 3 weeks. I read, I attend maybe a learning and so on, and I get the certificate. But what have I done? 100% theory, theoretical knowledge that I cannot apply in the real world environment. I can show that I have a certificate, but then I cannot show that I can do the job as a business analyst, because they are two different things and they're miles apart. All right. My advice is this, because no matter how much you tell people, they are still very hell-bent on getting a certificate. But my advice is, at the initial stage, focus on the skill. Get the skills and then get a job. Once you get the skills and get a job, it is then fancy for you to have a title. Oh, I am this or I am that. All right. But the certificate would not help you in any way to get a job or help you in any way to do the job. It's not a proof of work to show that you can do the job. It's not in any shape or form. All right. So let's look at some jobs and see if we can apply, not necessarily apply, but to look at some of the requirements, like the gentleman who asked, oh, would I be required to have maybe CBAP or something and so on. So let's first of all check. Let's go on LinkedIn. I always love to use LinkedIn. So let's go on LinkedIn and let's check for some jobs on LinkedIn. Okay, for some business analysis roles on LinkedIn. So one of the best ways to check for jobs, especially on LinkedIn, is, of course, once you log into LinkedIn, this is my page. And guys, follow me on LinkedIn. I'll follow you back. If you have questions, feel free to send me a message. I'll respond to your questions, all right? So if I click on jobs, for example, and I go to search, and I type business analyst or business analysis, as the case might be, and I click on that. Okay, you can also select the city, you can select the country. It's currently on Canada. Okay, it's currently on Canada, but you can select different cities, different countries, depending on where you are looking for that job. Okay, so let's just scroll down a bit and see if we can find any job. This was posted a week ago. This was posted 5 hours ago. So let's click on this, junior business analyst, and let's see the requirements. So this company is in Richmond, British Columbia in Canada. All right. So let's look at the requirements. Okay. So who are they looking for? As the business analyst, you are responsible for conducting market analysis, analyzing both product lines and overall profitability of the business. You're also responsible for developing and monitoring data. So let's look for the skills, the tools they want you to know. And let's see. So review, analyze, evaluate business systems and user needs. All right. Conduct financial, determine operational objectives, developing and implementing corporate dashboards using Microsoft Power BI. All right, one of the tools you need to know, Microsoft Power BI. What you'll bring, bachelor's or master's in IT or computer science, prior experience with what? SQL, SQL, structured query language, all right, would be preferred. So when you even see preferred, it means it's not compulsory. If you have it, it's good, but it's not compulsory, all right? Prior experience using an ERP, enterprise resource planning system like SAP and so on, all right? Excellent analytical, critical thinking, detail-oriented, excellent Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint. That's pretty much what they need. So go through all the different requirements and show me where they want a certificate. They don't want that. What they want is for you to come in during the assessment, prove to them that you can use SQL, prove to them you can use Power BI, prove to them you can use Excel, show them that you've worked on projects to optimize business processes using different business analysis toolkits from Jira to Trello to Draw.io and so on and so forth. Let's check the other one. Business analyst with Cognizant. Cognizant is one of the largest consulting companies, not just in the UK, but also in Canada. So let's see what they want here, all right? Your responsibilities as a business analyst with Cognizant, full-time job, mid to senior level. Let's see the responsibilities, what you'll be doing. Develop relevant industry and technology knowledge, draw conclusions from industry, market trends, supports go-to-market initiatives. Let's see the qualifications and the tools you need to bring to bear. Bachelor's in business, blah, 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 operations management, ability to grasp business needs and assess impacts of business operations and systems, ability to work creatively, excellent written and verbal communication. That's why I said communication is very, very key for a business analyst. You can't be shy and be a business analyst. No, never. All right. Let's see the tools. They didn't really put any. Okay, here you go. Proven Microsoft Office skills, including Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Microsoft Visio for diagramming, Access for database and projects. Okay. Access, for example, can easily be replaced by SQL. PostgreSQL. Projects can easily be replaced by Trello and Jira. All right. And these are the requirements. So again, where do you have the certification? It's a misconception, and people seeing this misconception, you don't need it to get a job. You can check so many different, jobs, see the requirements, and see what they require, what they need you to do eventually. Let's check read.co.uk for the UK. I always like read.co.uk or gov.uk. Read.co.uk or gov.uk. So let's see some of these jobs posted 3 days ago. Let's see this one. All right. You want to see the jobs that were posted more recently. Let's check if we have any other one posted recently as well. 5 days ago, let's check this. Okay, so let's see this particular one and see what do you need. You need to be responsible for defining and documenting new and existing functional processes. Work closely with a variety of internal teams to understand KPIs and drive business and create visualizations of this data in a manner that can be easily interpreted to senior leadership. Let's see the tools that they want you to understand. Use of Excel, work with large data using Excel and other data visualization tools. For example, Power BI. Work closely with program and project managers, all right? And you can see the tools here. Again, as a well-rounded business analyst, your skills and experience should likely include 5 years experience, high level of communication, high analytical and data skills, excellent Excel, all right? Excellent PowerPoint, experience with at least one data analytic tool, such as Power BI, Tableau, Databricks, Alteryx. All right. So if you know one out of this, Power BI, for example, you're good to go. Knowledge of Salesforce. Salesforce is a CRM. is an advantage, not compulsory, because it's difficult to learn Salesforce on your own as an individual. It's easier to learn it when you get a job and learn on the job. So that's why it's an advantage. Ability to influence individual or teams, ability to prioritize, so you can see what is required. Okay, so the misconception of, oh, I need to have this certification to apply to this job, it's a farce. All right, it's not true, and it's fancy to have, but it's not a need, it's not a requirement. I can check as many jobs as possible, and this would also help you understand what you need to learn, what you need to learn to cover, a very good number of skills and toolkits that can help you get a job as a business analyst. Okay, so ensure that when you check for jobs like this, search for as many, look for the most recent, and then you try to apply. Let's check one more and see. Let's see UK hired, and then I think from here we call it a day. UK hired, let's see, we have sponsored jobs here, because UK hired gives you sponsored jobs. So business analyst, sorry. Let's wait and see if we have any. All right, here we have information security analyst, business intelligence manager, business analyst. Let's look at this. So what UK Hire does for you is it shows you jobs and it calculates your score for you to get a skilled worker visa. All right, so business analyst, you can see the job, the salaries. Business intelligence analyst, let's check this one as well. Let's even check the business intelligence analyst. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so I know what happened. I'll click on this. Let's see the job. All right. So let's see who should apply. Who should apply? You'd see what is required for the person that should apply for this role. But what is more important is for us to check what they want you to have. What do they want you to have? So let's try to see. Okay, so there you go. You have it there. Candidates with relevant experience or job titles as process analyst, business planning analyst, and so on and so forth. All right, so they've not detailed the specific skills that you need to have for this particular role. But one thing UK Hire does for you, if we scroll down, you have the point-based system calculator that tells you if you can get a skilled worker visa from this job. And let me just explain very quickly. You can see that you have 80 points out of 70. So if you apply to this job in the UK, if you're in the UK and you apply to this job, you get a skilled worker visa. And let me explain the points one by one. Now, the job is at an appropriate skill level, RFQ 3 or above, which means the skill level to do this job is above A level. A level, so beyond high school. You've done high school and you have an A level. Or the skill level, the RFQ is a bit, it's not very straightforward to understand, right? But RFQ 3 or above means above A level. So you get 20 points for that, mandatory. Is the job offered by a licensed sponsor? So this particular job is offered by a licensed sponsor. Who is a licensed sponsor? A company that has the license to sponsor an individual. All right, so they can give you a certificate of sponsorship, and you take that certificate of sponsorship and apply to the Home Office for a skilled worker visa. Another 20 points. If the salary is above 25,600, you saw that the salary for this job is 36,006. So if the salary is above 25,600, you get additional 20 points, making what? 60. If the job is in the shortage occupation list, remember I showed you the shortage occupation list, and we saw that the business analysis is in shortage occupation list. You get another 20 points. And that was how they came up with the 80 points. So what this simply means is if I apply to this job today and I get the job, I get an offer, I get the job, I would apply and get a skilled worker visa. So you can see that here. Congratulations. You now have 80 points and can apply for the skilled worker visa. Not everybody knows this, and not everybody knows what to do and how to apply to these jobs. So let's check the second one and see if they have indicated the requirements for this particular one. So here they said you'll be involved in full project life cycle from inception to completion. You gather requirements. We talked about requirements gathering, right? Analyze and produce detailed process maps, process mapping, deliver functional and non-functional specifications. You'd assist with successful embedding of change. You are a change agent in that organization. You work independently to gather information, and so on and so forth. All right. So let's see. That's pretty much what you have in there. Closing date is on the 8th of October. Let's go to the point-based system again, and you can see 80 out of 70 points. All right. So this shows you clearly, and this is how you look for jobs. UK Hired. Guys, if there's anybody here in the UK that are trying to apply to a job, go to ukhired.com/jobs. I'm going to drop it in the chat. That's where you get jobs that will show you your skilled worker visa, if you can get a skilled worker visa. ukhired.com/jobs. Okay, so let me just take 2 more questions and then we call it a day. Your bachelor's does not matter at all in any shape or form. You don't need to have studied anything specific to get into any of the roles. Not at all. It's very irrelevant in the 21st century what you studied, except you are in programs like you're in a profession like medicine, the medical sector, and so on. You need to actually study medicine to be a medical doctor. But to get into tech, you don't need to. I studied industrial chemistry as my first degree, and I've been in tech for close to a decade. Let's see. More questions. Please send your YouTube or LinkedIn ID. Laptop requirements, entry level. You only need an entry level laptop. Nothing mid-level, nothing high-end. Entry level laptop is okay. All right. 8 GB RAM, 256 GB SSD. All right. And what else? Core i3, Core i5, you are good to go. If you have a Core i7, Core i9, fantastic, but you really don't need that. You need an entry-level laptop to be a part of the program. All right. Do we have more questions? More questions. If you have questions, please feel free to ask your questions before we call it a day. We're already far beyond the time we should end. The last thing I would love to show you is the platform, like I promised, what the platform looks like when you learn with us, okay? And again, this also shows that irrespective of the class you joined, you have everything structured for you. Let's go to the July cohorts, those that joined us in July. Those that joined in July. So you can see many classes in here, and that's simply because I'm a part of all the classes. What you would see is the class you have paid for. So like I mentioned, we have 2 different business analysis classes. This is Business Analysis UK. So for those in Nigeria, similar time zones in Europe, you'd be a part of the Business Analysis UK. For those in Business Analysis NA for North America, if you're in Canada, you are in the US, you have the time zone that fits your schedule, you'd be in this class. So let's open the Business Analysis UK. It's the same thing with the North America because it's the same trainer, the same facilitator. And this is what the classroom looks like, okay? So when you join, let's scroll all the way to the beginning. These are the people that joined in July. Okay, so they pretty much completed their program. That's why I'm using them as a case study. The first thing you get is the welcome to the BA program. Your welcome kit. The welcome kit contains all the things you need. Like I mentioned, you get this when you make your payments to join the program. You get the welcome kits. Let's click on the welcome kits to see what you have in there. So you get a welcome message, a welcome video from myself and the co-founder of Tenalytics. You have your lesson plan, all the things you learn, the time, when your class would start, the timing and everything. When you have your capstone project, your virtual internship, your weekly group mentorship sessions, you have all the details. How to install Microsoft Office, you have the link. How to download and install SQL, you have the link. How to download and install Power BI, you have the link. You have the ground rules. You have every single thing that you need to be a part of the program. Okay, so that's the welcome kit. Now, let's look at the very first class, which is, so you have installations. So for those of you using Mac, how to install Power BI for Mac, you have different materials to help you do that. Install Power BI for Windows, you also have that as well. We do a skill assessment to get a feel of where you are in terms of your capabilities and your skill level. And then you have your very first Excel class. Your Excel class is project-based, all right? And the beauty is, if you miss a class, we don't advise you to miss classes anyways, because the more classes you miss, the more work you'd have to do to catch up, all right? So if you miss a class, the class recording is always available, all right? So you can see the class recording. You have the link. If you click on the link, you'd see the recording. You have access to the class recording. You can come back, play the recording at your own convenience and watch all the things that happened in class. Okay, so this is Excel, and this was a case study they worked on in Excel. Let's look at the case study. It's a case study for a social analysis for a company where they're trying to identify the causes of malaria death across the globe. All right, so you download the data and you build a project using Excel, your very first Excel class. All right, you're going to be building a project. Excel class 2, you're going to work on another case study called the Crixus Travel Company. So you work for a company called Crixus. The Crixus company has been losing money over the years, and they want to identify how to maximize their revenue going into the new year, leveraging customers' feedback. Okay, so you're going to help them build a dashboard using Excel to answer the question. Now, when you have drop-in sessions, your drop-in sessions are designed to help you catch up on things that you missed out on. For example, Chidima joins the class. On Saturday, she really didn't understand how to do one or two things, and she sent messages to the WhatsApp group, but still cannot solve the problem. One of the data associates would set up a drop-in session during the week at your convenience, later in the evening, and you'd have somebody that will work with you one-on-one to get that problem solved. That's the drop-in session, okay? So you have your Watch Me Do It videos for Power BI, you have your mentorship session like I mentioned, and then you have your very first Power BI class, okay? So your Power BI class, you have your case study as well. The Power BI case study, remember I said every class is a case study. So you have your case study, you have the expectations, you have the data dictionary and what you're expected to do, the background to the case study, and then you are solving a problem. Second Power BI class is also project-based. This is Express Tech for a company, an online food delivery company, helping them solve another problem. All right, so you do that using Power BI. All your classes are project-based. Of course, you have your mentorship sessions, drop-in sessions, your SQL classes, and then your business analysis, your Upwork optimization. Step by step, you have every single thing that you need. You have another case study on your fifth, BA class where you'll be helping another company, all right, Tenalytics Limousines company to come up with an optimized process of how they do business. So all the things you'll be doing are things you do as a business analyst in the real world. And that's the beauty of being a part of the class. And if you miss class for anything, the class recording is here. You can always go back to the class recording. You can see this. That's, you have a facilitator teaching you Excel, and you can see exactly what happened in class, go through it, practice it, and then you have the opportunity to ask questions if you need to ask questions, and you have somebody who would support you. All right. So this is how the class goes. Fantastic blended learning approach to help you learn in an optimal learning environment. So this is what the platform looks like. They are currently doing their capstone projects. You can see we had a session on immigration pathways for tech professionals, okay, where we had an immigration expert who came around to give different, opportunities in different countries and how to access those opportunities as well. They're currently doing their capstone project, okay, for the business analysis program, LinkedIn optimization. And like I mentioned, the last mentorship session we had, I showed them how to build and match their CV to current job descriptions using ChatGPT. Let's see if we can see that session. I think this is it. Let's click on the recording and see if we can listen to just a bit of it. You can see me there on the screen. Let's wait for it to play. While that is playing, I want to quickly show you how to schedule your interview. If you have an interview, how do you have somebody work with you? So schedule your interview. You have job links to apply to jobs, okay? And then you have link to schedule your interview. So all you have to do is come to schedule your interview, go to the link, click on the link, and then you can select the most appropriate time for you. Let's click on that. So I can select, I want to have my interview preparation on Wednesday, the 4th of October. I click on that. What times are available? 11 a.m. is available, 1:30 is available. I click on. So what we always advise, if you don't have an appropriate time, still select any time and then communicate to the facilitator that, oh, can I make it 4 p.m.? Would that be available? And so on. So if I click on 1:30, click on next, now enter my name, enter my email, and I enter details of the job I'm applying to, and I click on schedule events. I'll receive the meeting details. You would also receive the meeting details. And on that particular day, you would have somebody help you work on preparing for your interview. So you can see me taking this particular session. Let's go forward a bit. I'll just play the audio for about maybe 1 minute. So you listen in to hear how the session went on this day. Okay, let me play the audio. Password, and it brings me here. Now, what's ChatGPT first? I call it warming up ChatGPT. And we have a prompt that would simply help us tailor. I want to tailor my CV to a particular job description. Tell me what you can do for me. Google Bard and Chat. I prefer ChatGPT to Google Bard. Bard is a bit, I would say, it's not as fun as ChatGPT, really. I've used both, and ChatGPT does a far better job than Bard. All right. So the first prompt to be using is warming up ChatGPT, saying I want to tailor my CV to a job description. Now, the second prompt would be to give us the main meat of our exercise today, which is gap analysis. All right. I want to know where I have gaps in the CV. I'm applying to a job. That job requires specific skills, specific years of experience, and work experience as well. So where are the gaps in my CV, and how can I cover those gaps? All right, so that's just a snippet of the session we had last week, the mentorship session. And then we showed them practically, we worked together. If I scroll all the way to the end, at the end of the day, we were able to build a document. We went to We went to LinkedIn, we copied a job description, we brought it, and you can see the CV, professional summary. How do you tailor your professional summary? So we had a Word document, we had a CV, and we worked on it step by step to tailor the CV to that particular job requirement. So these are the things you get during your mentorship session, during your additional skills with us. And that's why Tenalytics participants are different from other people who will be searching for the same set of jobs. Okay, so I think we can call it a day at this point. I've paid, though I've not received. You've not specified the cost, so that's why Ayo Dakbo. Okay, Ayo Dakbo. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Of course, you'll get the welcome kits within the next few hours, really. Once we confirm, perhaps because you have not selected a program, that's why. So we can't send you a general welcome kit. You get a welcome kit for the specific program you've applied to. All right, but you get a confirmation that we've gotten your payments 100%. Okay. Is remote job for business analysis available? Absolutely. So many. All you have to do is go, and there are so many websites. All right, there are so many websites to check. But if you go back to LinkedIn, for the gentleman asking, all you have to do is come to the filter, okay, and filter for only what? Remote. Filter for only remote and show results. Okay, filter for only remote and show results. So you'd see the jobs that allow remote opportunities, and don't just stick to one particular country, because some locations would want you to be in the country and work remotely. All right, they want you to work remotely, but they also want you to be inside the country, while other jobs, other organizations would not mind you being in your country and working for them. So you check different countries. I can select the UK, for example, or the United States. Okay, United Kingdom, or I can select my specific location. You can see this title: Principal Agile Business Analyst, Operations Analyst. Okay, this is a role that ordinarily as a business analyst you might not apply to. But what you have to do is to come to check the requirements. Check the requirements. What do you need for this particular job? Can you apply to this job? Okay. And once you check the requirements, if you can apply to it, absolutely, you go ahead and apply. Product analyst is also a good one. All right. You check the requirements, see what is required if you can. This is more data analytics. The product analyst role is more data analytics, because I can see Python, I can see R as well. Okay, so business analysts for CGI. All right, you check the role, check the requirements. You can see Jira and data migration experience working as a business analyst, understanding of agile principles, experience with running workshops and stakeholder meetings. And this is a remote job. All right, full-time remote. Full-time remote. It's a full-time remote job, and you can apply to it. There are so many remote jobs. LinkedIn is not just the only site for remote jobs. There's remote.co, there is Flex Jobs, there is Wellfound, so many websites for remote jobs. All right. So once again, guys, if I were you, all I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of the payment page, make my payment, take advantage of the discount, and join the cohort starting on the 7th of October. Once again, if you know anybody who will benefit from this, but have not joined the session today, share the message with them. Let them know that there are opportunities like this that exist for them to maximize their opportunities getting into the tech space. All right. And for those of you that will not be joining maybe this October, or maybe this year, 2023, maybe 2024, you decide to take the leap. Always remember that Tenalytics is here to help you make that transition seamless. Okay. Follow us across all our platforms, from LinkedIn to Instagram to Facebook to X to what else? all the platforms. All right, follow us so you stay up to date on all the latest trends, all the sessions we have upcoming. Okay, I want to say a very big thank you to those that have, all the people that have stayed from the beginning up until this moment. Thank you for being a part of our mentorship session, of our masterclass. I beg your pardon. Go on YouTube. You can watch the previous masterclasses we've had over the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, and enjoy and learn fantastic stuff for free on YouTube. Okay, we've shown how to use ChatGPT in different ways, how to use Excel, how to use Power BI, to data engineering, to coming up with a dashboard from a financial statement. Okay, so there are so many things you can learn. Follow us across all our platforms, and I would love to see you in class on the 7th of October 2023. Thank you very much, Ekeyong. Thank you, Minale. Thank you, Ayodapo, for being a part of our session again today. Olawale says, Adeza, I always enjoy listening to you. Thank you for being a part of our session, Olawale. Connect on LinkedIn. Send me a connection and let's connect on LinkedIn. Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. For those of you in Nigeria, you have a day off tomorrow, so enjoy the long weekend. Unfortunately, we don't have a bank holiday, but I'll try to make the best use of my Monday tomorrow. Thank you very much, guys. Have an amazing week ahead. And until we see some other time, cheers, guys.